Hello and greetings from Oklahoma City. I had intended to be there with you in person, but we're all suffering the same, maybe more in your neck of the woods than mine. So here I am by video. I was hoping I could record this whole presentation and put it up online so that instead of coming to a meeting on April 25th, you could watch this video on uh, YouTube. So I guess the reason I'm even talking about this subject, on-demand publishing, is because back in 1976, my grandmother gave me this copy of the Sears Genealogy, The Descendants of Richard Sears. Hopefully you can read that. And it was published in 1890 by a man named Samuel May in Newton, Mass. The thing that got me started was that when I started searching through the book, my grandfather was not listed in the book. Well, he wasn't born until 1892, so you can see the discrepancy. And then I realized if Grandpa wasn't in the book, my dad wasn't, of course I wasn't. There's a lot of people missing, so I started on this quest to find the missing people that were born or recorded after 1890. So about 1992, I decided I'm going to publish what I have because you never get done with this, right? And so I decided to publish the Sears Genealogical Catalog. You can see, it's a fairly large book. It has many thousands of descendants, the original information from Samuel May, and new things that I discovered in the intervening 20 years. So with that said, let me try and get started on the presentation, see if I can share my screen here. I've done the presentation in Prezi. Share. And we'll try to present and see how this goes. So there's my contact information. It's important that you go to this website. You can pause right at this point. Go to this website, www.searsr, like Ray Sears.com/publish. That's a small p. And you can get the this presentation, plus you can get the handout that I would have given you if you had actually been at the meeting. So here's the notice that Samuel May sent out to the descendants of Richard Sears of Yarmouth, Mass, who wheresoever dispersed, greeting. The Sears genealogy, upon which I've been engaged for several years, is ready for the printer. It will have 4,000 notices of the name. The price to subscribers, you can see in those days they sold the genealogy by selling subscriptions. It will be $5. Now, if you want me to mail it to you, it'll cost $5.25. This is barely going to cover the cost of the work. Of course, certainly it won't pay for the number of hours that Samuel May put into the work. And I've found over the years, genealogy typically is not a profit making operation. So there was the notice. My great grandfather ordered a copy of the book, paid his $5, and it had been sitting on the shelf for the family ever since. There's a picture of the cover of my book that I did in 1992, and I've since updated it using Lulu, using the process we're going to discuss today. So here's our agenda for the meeting. Why publish on demand? Let's look at lulu.com. Don't get confused with other websites that sound similar. Let's see how to format a book. Lulu has templates. They're doing their publishing it's basically computer-aided publishing. And so you have to get the formats right for the computer to be able to run the presses properly. There's not a lot of human involvement in publishing books on demand with these computerized presses. So once we get the book formatted, we'll upload the book to the Lulu website. Now we know how big the book is, so we can make a cover. You can't make a cover until you figure out how wide the spine has to be. That depends on how many pages your book is. I mean, you know what the front and back are going to look like, but not the actual spine. So we'll create a book cover using Lulu's cover creator. Marketing a book is a whole topic in itself. We could spend an hour just talking about that. And then finally, what about ebooks? Because if you can publish a paper edition of a book, you could also do an ebook. Let's take a look. Let's dive into these areas. So why would you publish on demand? Well, um, first of all, if I skip through these, there are different formats for publishing. I mentioned an ebook. I mentioned paper. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and so if you have the ability, you could even go as far as putting your book out in audio format. I'm caught up with my slides here. Where to market your material? You know, there's 45 million books out there. Every person who can read is not your audience. You have to figure out who's this book for, and try and approach those people, that limited group. On-demand publishing gives you a faster time to market. When I published this big book in 1992, it took months and months of working with the bookmasters, publishing people, picking out the little parts of the book, like the little header and footer tabs. On-demand publishing is a lot quicker. And you know what? Retailers don't keep your book on the shelf. When a new book shows up at a bookstore, it might be on the shelf for a few weeks and then it disappears. So why not have it be available on demand? So I've always said, you know, just like when you're going to go swimming, and just like me making this video using Zoom, this new app that my sister told me about, you have to just jump in. The water's going to be cold for 5 minutes, but jump in, and after a few minutes, you'll be able to move on. You won't feel uncomfortable. You can print anything and everything. Be careful about copyright rules, of course. You get to choose your format with on-demand publishing. You never go out of stock because you can order one at a time. For example, a Sears book that I did, a little memory book that I did, I initially ordered a proof copy. See this? There it is. Let's go this way. You can order a proof copy to see how it's going to look. There's the cover and the back. You can then order 5 copies to send out to friends and family, and then you can make it available for anyone to order. Publishing on demand, the books don't go out of stock. You can update your book. I had a few typos in this old book, so I fixed them and I updated a new version. The typos are gone. You can spend wisely. When I first did the big Sears book, I ordered 200 copies at $25 a piece. I had to come up with $5,000. But when you're doing a press run at a big printing company, you can't just order one copy. With Lulu.com, you can order a single copy and save your money for other purposes. So let's go in. I think we've got a picture of why we might publish on demand. Oh, there is one other point I did want to bring up, and that is publishers are in the business of selling books. Now, publishers used to be the only ones that could bestow the title of author, but that's not true anymore. We know that we can all write. We can all put things together in the form of what might be a publication. And so we don't have to wait for a publisher to tell us that we're an author. We are authors. We already write many different things. And so that's one of the things that publishing on demand has kind of leveled the playing field to where anyone can become a publisher. And there's many formats available. And I showed you this little 6x9 format. I like it a lot because it's the same size as the journal. You know, the journal that you get every 6 months, that's also done by Lulu. That's where I got this idea to even present this course, because we put all those articles together into a journal every 6 months and send that out to you, and Lulu does the press run for us. Okay, so let's take a look at Lulu. There are some other online tools. I've learned this one. I know how it works, and so that's the one I'm going to talk about. If you have another one, there's no, you know, Lulu doesn't send me any money, so I have no special preference. It's just the one that I learned. Lulu works for you. They will help you. They have lots of helps and tips. They print quickly. They usually print a book within 3 to 5 days. Or in the case of the journal, if we're sending out 300 copies, the same thing, 3 to 5 days, they'll print 350 copies of the journal, and then they'll ship them to us. Shipping is the catcher, because even though a book like this with 100 pages costs about $3 to print, it also costs about $3 to mail it. And so be careful with how you distribute, because shipping can catch up with you. Lulu helps you with marketing. This book that I did is available on Amazon. If you go to Amazon and look for Cape Cod Ruminations, you will find my little book there, and you can order it. You can also buy the book. Anyone can also buy the books directly from Lulu. So it's just a nice way to create books. Lulu can also help you create and sell ebooks. On the Lulu website, you can create an author spotlight. The author spotlight helps you to be able to showcase your talents. If I go to my Lulu website right here, click over here on the author spotlight, what you'll see is my picture with some information about me and the books that I currently have for sale on Lulu. The Sears Genealogical Catalog is a successor to that earlier book I showed you. This only goes through 6 generations. An index of all 26,000 great-grandchildren of Richard Sears of Yarmouth, and then my Ruminations book, which is comprised primarily of articles that I've written for the journal over the last 20 years. Let's go back to Prezi if we can get there. Next. You make an account at Lulu. Lulu's free. Imagine that. How do they make money? They print books, and they sell them for slightly more than it costs them to make them. Lulu lets you control your copyright. Lulu lets you create an international standard book number. You see the little barcode at the bottom of this book? That's to allow it to be sold in bookstores. And Lulu has millions of other books. It's a very popular platform for independent authors to become publishers. So it's like almost every other site, but now it is free. You don't have to give them a credit card number just to go through the process that I'm showing you today. Lulu will let you sign up for free, and they will send you emails, notifications, that sort of thing. And they'll basically help you through all the problems and all the issues. So it's the typical thing. You put in a username and a password, and it's based on your email. So whatever email you use, that'll be where all your books are saved. That'll be the account in which your books are saved. Right now, I use about 5 different Lulu accounts, 5 different email addresses. I have one for the Cape Cod Journal. I've helped David Martin publish his Unitarian Universalism on Cape Cod and the Islands book. We have an email for that. Also, we have there the Cape Cod 2020 Symposium being published there. You create your account, and if you give me the password, I can log in and help you get your books published if you run into any snags. So here's the main dashboard. Across the top of the Lulu page, you'll see Shop. That's where you just buy books. This is where you create books. This is how you get ready to sell books. This is a whole learning system, and Lulu has got a lot of information out there about how to, how to get these books done. Shows your current orders and your projects that are ongoing. I'll switch back in a little bit and show you my projects list. Here it is. It says, "Welcome back, Leslie Ray Sears III." I'm signed up with my full name, so that shows up in my copyrights and my author. I'm sure I haven't missed anything here. I've had good luck in emailing and speaking with people at Lulu whenever there's any questions about orders or shipping or so forth. So the first thing we're going to do is go create, and we're going to create a print book. So right here, you hit click create and you click print book. Paperback, black and white, color, lots of different options. You could also do an ebook. At one of the classes where I've given this presentation, someone said, "Oh, I didn't know you could make calendars. I'm going to rush out and make a calendar with photographs." I haven't tried it, but I don't know, it may be a good way to go. And just a book of pure photos if you like. Once you create the book, Lulu says it's basically 6 steps to get the work done. Write the book. Well, I use Microsoft Word. That is because Lulu, while it will accept a Word file, they would prefer a PDF, a portable document format file, because PDF, what you see is what you get. That's what I see on the PDF file is what comes back to me in a Lulu print. Formatting, we're going to talk about. Choosing your book size. I like 6x9 or the 8.5 by 11 sizes. You put in your title and author information, upload a book, make a cover, and publish. It's ready to go to the bookstores. So you can see it says 6 easy steps. It takes some getting used to, But once you've done it 20 or 30 times, I think I've got 25 titles out there right now that I've published with Lulu. It'll get easier. So we've gone through the basics of Lulu. Let's go over here. We've moved through introduction, publishing on demand. What about Lulu.com? We're in this section D, formatting a book. Now this topic goes a little bit slower when I have an audience because people will usually ask questions. Unfortunately, in this format, you'll have to call me or email me your questions. The information will be in this presentation. There's, I'm usually pretty easy to get a hold of. So when it comes to formatting the book, let's look at some of the requirements. Lulu has templates. Templates just help you to make sure that when you get the book ready to print, it fits on the page and there's the right margins. When I use this perfect binding, which the pages are glued into the spine, you have to leave certain room for pages to be glued in. Just some of those kind of formatting issues. So let's see some details about formatting. Now, I like to publish genealogy information, and so whatever kind of book you're publishing, you may have to gather and format information. One thing I've found with genealogies is you ought to have a standard way of representing names. I always put, when I publish books, a first name. If there's a nickname like Ray, I go by Ray because I'm the third one after my father and grandfather. I put the nickname in quotes. Are you going to have all your names capitalized in your publication? That really gets hard on my eyes. It's like the names are yelling at you. So I tend to go with lowercase. Also, I don't have any periods in any of the names in my system. They sort differently, and that's just a preference. You know what that means, Leslie R. You can put the period. It saves me a lot of typing. What about locations? You can refer to Dennis in Barnstable County, Cape Cod, Massachusetts, USA, United States of America, probably 20 different ways. And then what about East Dennis? And what about Dennisport? So I've formalized and normalized locations so that if I go to Dennis, Barnstable, Mass, USA in my database, I see everybody who has any event that happened in Dennis. I don't have to search through a lot of different, variations of names. You might want to be sure that your sources are listed correctly. And then finally, I hate to put out a book. My wife helped me with the old one in 1992, finding dates where, a mother had this son when she was only 7 years old, finding children born long after the father had died, those kind of issues. So it'd be nice if you've done some error correction. Now, I mentioned earlier on-demand publishing, you get to fix problems that you find and put out another edition. So at least there is that capability. What about content? Well, we know with genealogy, GEDCOM is a standard data extraction format from a genealogy database. I use Family Book Creator for a database, and I use something called a plugin. It's a plugin called, I use Family Tree Maker, and the plugin is Family Book Creator. It creates some interesting reports. Descendants of, we've seen that one. Ancestors of, I like that one. But the best one for me is relatives of. It starts with any person you pick and shows you all of their ancestors and all their descendants. And so that's my favorite book format. If you don't have the Family Book Creator, if you send me a GEDCOM, I can generate a file for you that's called the relatives of a person. I also like Progeny software. They have a tool called Charting Companion, which makes a very nice book for publishing. And it also has an application which I wrote about in a recent journal called Map My Family Tree. If you're a map enthusiast, you could include maps in your publication. So lots of ways of producing content besides just sitting down and typing in Word from a blank sheet of paper, which is how you start a lot of books. What about the options? Well, the perfect binding you're all familiar with, a coil binding, a little plastic coil. Saddle stitch is where they take a, it's just two staples. Saddle stitch, staple here and a staple here. What about paperweight? 50 pounds is the standard paperweight. That means that a ream of paper weighs 50 pounds. Now that's not the size ream that we're used to. It takes 4 of our little copy machine reams to 500 sheets each. It takes 4 of those to make a printer's ream. 60-pound paper is a premium weight, 60 pounds per ream, that they like to use for bookstores. Lulu prints on cream or white. Remember, this is computer-driven publishing, and so they don't want to be reloading all different kinds of paper into their presses. They want to get as many books through the system as they can. So there's your 2 options, cream and white. Your ink, well, the cheap way is black and white. Like I mentioned, the little 100-page book, $4. If you want to go color with all color interior, multiply that times 3 or times 4. You go to $16 or $20. What size? I like to pick 6 by 9. I do some books at 8.5 by 11, but basically you pick these at the beginning of the Lulu formatting process. And so the ones I prefer is perfect binding, 60-pound premium, cream paper, black and white ink, 6 by 9. That's the specs of my book. Covers in Lulu, covers are always in color. They know that people want color, so can you see? I even got my picture on the back of my book. On the front, it's a black and white photograph, but the front is kind of a brown. They call it Recycle is the name of that book. So you pick the type of book. In our case, we want a print book. We'll worry about ebooks later. You pick, I want premium paperback, which is bookstore quality. I want to sell my book in a bookstore. And then down here at the bottom, I pick 6 by 9, black and white, perfect bound paperback, $3.25 for 100 pages. You can get a hardcover book. It's going to cost. But Lulu also will do a hardcover if you want something to lay on the coffee table. And then you need the template. The thing about the template is it's the key to being sure that what you lay out on your page will be able to be handled by the computer-aided presses that they've got. So you can see all the details. Premium, when you get to this point, premium, perfect bound, US trade, that's bookstores, black and white, 60-pound, gloss cover, that's standard. And where can it be shipped? Anywhere in the world. Cost for 100 pages. Now, if you put in your number, like if your book is 150 pages, they'll tell you the cost for that. Download the template, because that's going to tell you the margins and the layout, and then click Make This Book, and you're off and running. You're ready to give Lulu the information needed to print the book. So let's see what's the next step. Layout. This is where I downloaded the template. For the standard 6 by 9 book that we use, and it's the same one you see the journal. Let me get the journal down. Handy to have all this right here. So this is the journal is 6 by 9. Got a pretty blue cover, with the map of Cape Cod. For that standard, you need a top and bottom margin of 6/10 of an inch, an inside and an outside margin of 5/10 of an inch, and a gutter. A gutter is to allow room for the pages to be glued into the spine. So the gutter is 0.3 inches. You click mirror margins because, when you have pages like this, the odd pages on the right, the evens on the left, and the margins are mirrored. So let's skip to the next thing and see if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it, but the margin here is 0.8 of an inch, and the margin here is 1/2 an inch. That's 0.5 plus 0.3. This is the gutter. This is the odd page, and the glue is applied on this edge of the page. The next page, the even page, the wider margin will be on the other side. So that's inside and outside, they call it. Font size, big discussions. What should you do about font size? My favorite has always been Times New Roman 11, but as we get older, it's a little more difficult to see. I think for the journal, we're going to even increase that to 12, give us a little bit better chance. But how do you pick a font size? Well, here's the key. Choose a font which lets your eye move from the end of one line to the beginning of the next. Is the font readable at arm's length? You see, I've got my arms out here. There's a great blog on how to choose fonts, but my rule is keep it simple. I use one font for everything. Now, that might be kind of boring, but if you've got 20 fonts in your publication, maybe you're an artist. I'm not an artist. I'm an engineer. Maybe that's why I like that. Okay, so there's the font size. Hopefully that answers the questions. Now, when you're formatting your book, what do you need? Well, Bookstores, they want a title page. A bookstore wants a copyright page. Dedications are optional. Table of contents are very handy because it helps you to move forward and backward in the book. A foreword, you have to make sure and spell it right because I always misspell it as forward, is written to help introduce the book from an outside expert. Preface, acknowledgments, those are the kinds of things that you'll find in a book when you format it. But let's stick really to the required things. The title page is the first page on the right. I don't know if you can see. Well, gave you the wrong one. The first page on the right is the title page. The journal is going to start having a title page in the next issue. On the title page, of course, the title, if there's a subtitle, the author and the publisher. And you can have other information on your title page. If you have any question, pull up one of the published books you've got and look at their title page. Here's mine. So you can see the title, my name, and the publisher. Now, oh, who's the publisher? Well, you're the publisher. That's the whole point. You get to make up your own imprint name. And so mine has been for many years the Sears Family Association, so I use that as my publisher name. For Unitarian Universalism on Cape Cod and the islands, we use the initials of the first names of the names of the authors. And so you get to make up, you become a publisher, and you get to make up your own imprint name. You're going to write more than one book, right? So you want to have a line going. Now the copyright page is the first verso page on the left. It's the next page right after the title page. And so you've got the copyright notice, International Standard Book Number. Is this the first, second, third edition? When was it printed? Lots of information on the copyright page. Hopefully you can see my example of the copyright page that I've got. I describe what's on the front cover, the photograph. I put a standard copyright notice. I want to be in control of who prints this book and when they print it. My book number that I got from Lulu for free, and how to contact me to buy copies of this book if you just happen to find one laying around. Table of contents are handy, chapters, major divisions, just a way to sort of drill into the book and be able to find something without having to go through every single page. The foreword, find someone notable. I was lucky enough to have David Martin and Carolyn Weiss write the foreword for my little book. They're notable presidents of the association, genealogists. Find a respected voice on whatever topic you're writing about. The foreword can be signed, dated, and given a place. And then the preface. Now the preface is by you, the author. Why did you write this book? How did you write it? What's the scope? What's the goal? Those are the kinds of things that you want to include in your preface or introduction. Kind of the same words. There's other things that can be in your book, like a dedication, acknowledgments, those kinds of things. But those three, the title page, the copyright page, a preface, those are pretty common. Maybe not always a foreword, maybe not always acknowledgments. So here's our checklist for our formatting. Mirror those margins because we're going to do a perfect binding, and we got to leave room in the gutter so we don't have to crack the book open to read the information down in there. So for our 6x9 book, 0.6, 0.5, gutters, 0.3, page numbers. I like to put page numbers at the bottom center. The reason is, if you can see there, the reason is you don't have to worry about odd and even. Is the page number going to be on the inside or by the gutter? Put them at the bottom center and you don't have to worry. Headers and footers, make sure there's enough room. Photos, if you have photos, watch the margins on your photos. Pick a good font size, and then your front matter. Indexes are another part of a book that are often popular because it helps you refer back to pages within a book if you put an index, usually with the index at the end of the book. Now we've saved our Word document. We've got it formatted perfectly. Here's a book I'm doing called The Descendants of Richard Sears. It's from Charting Companion, March 14th, 2019. You pick you save as type portable document format. That's what we want to upload to Lulu, a PDF. Make sure you pick standard publishing, online, and printing. That's a big file. It's going to be a big file. And when you click the options button, make sure you check the box that says ISO 19005 compliant. This means that all fonts will be included in the file, and this file will be able to be read later independently. Lulu doesn't automatically know what fonts you are using, so you want to embed those fonts in your document. To do that, you click Options and check that ISO 19005 box. Okay, so, oops, clicked the wrong button. We're moving right along here. Let's upload the book to Lulu. You notice there's only 3 slides, right? So we've gone through publishing, Lulu, formatting. Let's upload the book. Pretty easy. You've got a PDF file. Here's some things you should do. Remember that checklist I told you about? Before you upload, here's a recent upload I did for the Mayflower 2020 Symposium. You notice there's 3 files here. Lulu's going to print these files in the order that they are in this list. You get to move the files with this little green up and down arrow. By putting in, say, 1 file per chapter, it's easier to correct the book, right? So if you find an error in chapter 3, you only have to fix chapter 3 and upload chapter 3. Whenever you want to upload chapter 3, you just click the red X to get rid of this version and then upload a new version. So you choose a file. I chose the file Mayflower 2020, uploaded it. Then I chose the file They Went South, uploaded that, and then I have a third part for the Mayflower. So this book was in 3 parts. Lulu will print the book in the order of this list, so make sure the list is right. Then you'll see a button down here that says Make a Print Ready File. That's the computerized part of this whole operation. Files are stored in My Files on Lulu. So once you upload a file, Lulu saves it for you. You don't need to keep a copy anymore. Errors, we'll see in a minute if you get any errors, are usually related to resolution of pictures, failure to embed fonts. Remember I mentioned that ISO 19005. And there is a member agreement. But all these websites, especially free ones, have member agreements. The book is still yours, the copyright is yours, the ISBN is yours. So you click Make Print Ready File, and you'll see a progress bar appear, and it'll just move across the page as Lulu's computers do the work to turn your PDF into the file that they need for the printing press. They also will give you some help with pre-publishing and marketing if you want. I like to do everything myself. Finally, the print ready file is complete. They had to make some changes. They detected and flattened some transparencies, some images in my file. They saw some low resolution images. They're saying, we want to be a quality publisher. You uploaded an image that wasn't really 300 dots per inch, and our presses can handle 300 dots per inch. So it'd be better if you uploaded a higher resolution file. At this point, download that file. It's going to be a PDF, and look through the whole thing and make sure that is what you want to come out on the insides of your book. Once you're set, you click the Save and Continue button right here, and we're off and running. We now know how big our spine has to be because of how many pages our book turned out. So let's make a cover. Lulu has a cover creator. I've also used the advanced one-piece cover designer. The problem with this is you have to make the file. You have to make the complete file, PDF or JPG, exactly what you want on the cover. The specs are down here. Your spine must be 38 pixels wide. Your spine begins 2,588 pixels from the edge of the left edge. The total cover width, 5,213 pixels this way by 3,375 pixels this way. Unless you're good with graphics, I've had a lot of practice. I tend to reuse a lot of covers, especially the journal cover. You might want to use what I'm going to show you next, which is the cover designer, sort of the automatic way. Lulu has a cover wizard. They let you pick from about 50 different cover formats, and they give you places to paste pictures, ISBN numbers, text, titles. So that, for getting started, why not try the Lulu cover wizard unless you just have an exact idea of what you want to be on the cover of your book. So you pick the one I picked for, you can see all the different models up here. This is the one I picked for my book. It's called Recycle. So you can see I put a title here. I pasted a picture here on the back. I pasted a picture here. I have a short write-up that I wrote, and then I used part of the introduction from Dave Martin and Carolyn Weiss for this description of the book. I pasted the ISBN number at the bottom. So that was a pretty quick, and Lulu now is going to worry about, is the spine in the proper location? You know, if you get your spine in the wrong location, when they print the book, you might end up with the spine printing on the back of the book. So there's a lot of details if you're going to do your own cover. Try and use Lulu's cover wizard if you can. Okay, and so then Lulu will also give you, Lulu automatically makes a printable cover and will let you download the cover to look at it before you go to the next step. The final step of the Lulu process is to order a book. I'll just show you, since I guess I don't have a slide for that, but if I go to you know, add to cart, we're used to buying stuff online, right? We're even becoming more expert at it now. Oh, Lulu's got some, they need additional 5 to 10 days, probably because some of their people, you know. Anyway, all you do is go to this location, click the title of your book, the quantity, and go through the regular process of providing. This is the first time you'll need to provide a credit card, is when you actually want to have a book in hand. Usually they call it a proof copy. Okay, back to presenting. Marketing. Well, marketing, like I said, is a whole hour all by itself. But I've learned a little bit about marketing since 1992, when I first spent $5,000 to print 200 copies of that big Sears Genealogy. I used, I wrote a lot of letters to libraries. Trying to get to the marketing page. I put ads in places like Genealogical Helper and Yankee Magazine. I emailed people that I had been in touch with and wrote letters to people I had been in touch with who provided information to go into the book. They'll want a copy, right? Their family's in the book. Marketing is just a whole big process in itself to actually sell the book. It took me a number of years to get rid of 200 copies. I gave away a lot of copies that you're going to find you have to do that. What's first about marketing your book? Well, are you credible? You know, if you can get an endorsement on your book from a respected source, like a nice foreword from a president of a genealogical society, that's good. Reviews are better. Now, to get reviews, you usually have to send the book in. So I sent the book in to Ancestry, to NEHGS up in Boston, right? And I sent him a copy of the book and a little blurb. And in this issue, fall 2019 of American Ancestors Magazine, NEHGS printed a little write-up about my book. So there's a marketing tip. There's a website called Goodreads. Goodreads is where you can actually list yourself as an author. Anybody can be an author, and you put your books up online at Goodreads. Newsletters is a way to market. Libraries. Most of the big genealogy libraries have a copy of my book, the Sears Genealogical Catalogue, because I sent them one, right? Societies. Contact various genealogy societies. You know, we've got a number of historical and genealogical societies on the Cape. When I was at the Cape last, I took copies of this book to most of the libraries in Dennis. So every library in Dennis now has a copy of this book that I donated to them. 75% of books are purchased online, and so if you don't already have an online presence, you're going to need one if you want to sell books, because that's where they sell. Search engine optimization uses keywords like Cape Cod, genealogy, history, Sears, Sears family, metadata, data about what's in this book. So if you want your search engine to show up, with information, then you need to provide those keywords. And of course, with marketing, everybody in the world who can read English or whatever is not your reader. So target the people who are the specific audience that you want. Social media. Do you have a blog? Actually, I wrote those little ruminations. I put them on my blog. I put them in a journal, and then I compiled them into a book. So I use the same writing 3 different places. Why not, right? Put some information out on Facebook. You can have a Facebook page. You've probably heard of numerous other social media sites. I like Goodreads, and I showed you already the Lulu Author Spotlight, partly because it gives you a nice uniform resource locator, lulu.com Spotlight Cape Cod Ruminations. You should write a little biography about yourself because people want to know, who are you? That's part of that credibility thing. This thing I'm doing right now, this talk, is marketing, right? Because I'm out here, I'm telling you about my book, I'm telling you how to make books, I'm telling you I've made a lot of books and I know how to do it, and I can help you do it. So that's all about marketing too. I've given the same talk at our local genealogy society, and I've proposed giving it to the one in the next town too. Blogs are a good writing tool, a good way to pre-publish some of your content. If you go to a site called Geneabloggers, you can join a group, and what you promise there is, I will comment on your blog if you comment on my blog. Scratch each other's back, right? And so if you sign up for the weekly Geneabloggers challenge, you agree to comment on the blogs of 5 other people in the group. That means, writers like to read too, right? And you'll learn something reading these other genealogy blogs. So why not do that? I've got my own blog, capecodfolks.blogspot.com. So that's where I do a lot of blogging. And Facebook, put the book info on your page. Post to other groups. I asked some of the other groups like, Best of Dennis and the Mayflower group and some of the other Cape Cod genealogy groups if I could post information about my book. They said, sure. The same old thing, if you want a friend, be a friend. Cooperate. Now, if you could have a common handle between Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Pinterest, TikTok, I can't even name all the social media sites that are out there, it would be great. I use a lot of LR Sears. That's my Twitter handle. Instagram, I couldn't get that. So I had to add my suffix, III, the third. I'm the third one. Tumblr, well, I used lrsears.tumblr.com. Pinterest, I couldn't get LR Sears. So on my Pinterest website where I post photos of Sears tombstones, it's Pinterest Leslie Sears. Now, if you're lucky enough and your name is unique enough, you might be able to get the same handle on multiple social media platforms. There's other tools. There are subscription services out there that you can join, and your book will become part of the Book of the Month Club. I think there's a cost. I tend to stay away from those. Contests. On your blog, you could have a contest and say the 5th person that posts a reply on my blog, I'm going to send them a copy of my book, similar to giveaways. I use a lot of bookstores. When I was first selling the big Sears Genealogical catalog, I used Parnassus books because Ben over there, he ordered probably 50 or 60 of my books. He'd sell 5 and he'd order more and he'd sell 5. So if you can find an outlet like Ben Muse did for me, that's a good way to get your book out there. Email, collect email addresses, email lots of people. A website, you saw mine, searsr.com, and links. The more links you have to your website, the more credible you are. How do you get links? Well, one way I get links is I also contribute to wikitree.com. And when I'm in a Wikitree profile, I put a link to my website. That means if there's 5,000 Sears profiles out there, all with links to the searsr.com website, that improves my credibility. So become author on other websites to post links to your own website. Archive.org, also known as the Wayback Machine, from Sherman and Mr. Peabody, the Wayback Machine. You can upload parts of your whole book, which I've done, or parts of your book to archive.org. People don't realize that you can put books on archive.org. It preserves data. They're in a big process of trying to save everything that's ever been printed on the internet. Now, the Family History Center uploaded my 1992 Sears Genealogical Catalog to archives.org. Well, okay, it was copyrighted. They didn't really have permission to do it, but it's preserved out there now. I have a lot more information now than I did in 1992, so it's almost out of date, but it is useful for people. I've uploaded all the newsletters from 1993 to 2015 that I wrote for the Sears Family Association. Put those all up there. The Sears Genealogical Catalogue, Volume 1, Generations 1 through 6. That's my new second edition. I uploaded that. Now you can go buy it for $45 at Lulu, or you can download the PDF free at Archive. But it's just a way to get your information out there, and again, to have links back to your other web pages. Let's see how I'm doing. I think we're about there. Hope you can stay with me just a few more minutes, because I did want to mention eBooks. Let's take a look at eBooks. Electronic books. What's nice about them? I've got my, hang on one second. I thought I was prepared. I've got my Kindle, right? Why shouldn't my book be on a Kindle? Well, I made an ebook. Can you see? Oh, there's a reflection. Trying to get it. I basically, I took the same text that I uploaded to Lulu, and I created an ebook, and it's taking a minute to load. I guess I have a slow Kindle Fire. But the idea about ebooks is they're free to distribute, right? So you don't have to print any paper. One of the differences about ebooks is font size is not important, because on font size, the user chooses the size font they want. So we avoided that. Now there's limitations. You can't do a lot of formatting. I guess I'm not going to show you that on the ebook. You can't do a lot of formatting, but it just makes it easy to get the word out to people. Now, I tried Lulu's ebook process, and I had a lot of trouble because I had pictures. Smashwords is an online app. They only worry about ebooks. They have thousands and thousands of ebooks uploaded by people like me. It's easy to use. One problem, Smashwords doesn't like PDFs. Smashwords wants Microsoft Word. Lulu can take either way. Lulu may be better at distribution, monetization than Smashwords, but Smashwords is just easier. Some of the considerations for ebooks: flowable text. Because you can change the font, you can't control the way the text forms. You can make paragraphs, but you can't have tabs. You can't use the tab key. You have to do a special table of contents, which is not terribly hard to do. And it's cheap distribution. Now, one thing I like about Smashwords, when I uploaded my book, I don't know, it's pretty hard to see my book on here. But when I uploaded my book, they said, well, what price would you like? I said, a buyer can come to Smashwords and buy Let Go to Listen, my book, for anywhere from $0 to $5. The user gets to choose how much they pay based on what I put in. Now, you don't have to charge $0. You can say, well, they got to spend at least 10 cents, for monetization. But you can sell your book for free. Basically, didn't cost you any extra. There's no paper. There's just bits that move from one place to another. And like with a Kindle can read the book to you. It may not be the best voice, but it does give you that capability of an audiobook. So there we go. I hope I got through it all. We saw why we would want to publish on demand. We looked at Lulu. We formatted a book. We uploaded the book to Lulu's website. We created a cover. We marketed our book, and we looked at ebooks as an alternative to print books. I'm hoping that you have at least an understanding of publishing on demand, formatting, creating an ebook, marketing your book. If I missed on any of those topics, let me know. I'll fix it for the next group. Lulu is easy, lulu.com. Smashwords is easy for ebook publishing, smashwords.com. It took me 7 uploads before I finally got a book that Smashwords would give out to the world. But I'm there now. If you go to Smashwords, you can find it. It just took some learning, like getting rid of tabs, getting my pictures out of text boxes. All the information I've just showed you is available at searsr.com/publish. If you go to that website, you got my email address, you got this whole slideshow, there's a PowerPoint slideshow, just all the information about publishing. If you want to go on the road and start doing your own on-demand publishing seminars to people, feel free to use this this presentation for whatever help it may give you. And I hope that I've given you a good example. Call me up. I can get you through the problems because I've experienced all of them, I think. And when you run into a roadblock, give me a call or send me an email, and we'll get your book published. I'm already helping a couple other people get theirs done. Thanks, and namaste. Our new greeting in Oklahoma: the light within me greets the light within you. Oh, I could have gone back to here. Okay, now I can stop recording if I can find the button. Pause. There we go.